Hey, everybody. So, with an overwhelming amount of votes, we decided we're going to do Sister Wives rewatch first. Well, for us, it's an actual watch because we have not watched 90% of Sister Wives. We have watched season 1, but we went ahead and tortured ourselves tonight for your benefit so we can give you our feedback and watched episodes 1 and 2.
Season 1, episode 1 and 2.
We both made notes throughout the show, but we did not share our notes with each other. So this is going to be the first time that we're sharing our notes with each other. We were debating on whether to even film tonight because it is getting a little bit later, but then we were both so lit up about a few things that we're like, screw it, that's it. Slap on a little bit of makeup and let's go. So here we are.
I have no makeup on. Sorry, guys.
I have to. So this... We did a poll on YouTube and got an overwhelming response of everybody wanted us to watch Sister Wives first and give our thoughts and stuff on Sister Wives. And go ahead.
No, I could just see where they haven't brought it up yet, but that Christine's from a royalty family because she's got a bit of prophesying going in the first episode here.
Christine prophesied through this entire 2 episodes. Both of us, we kept pausing the show and what the heck?
She's basically, and that's not something that she really prophesied about. You saw that over and over and over in the AUB, where one wife would come in, 2 or 3 wives were doing great. One wife would come in and just demand most of the resources, most of the time, most of the
energy
from the husband.
Just the man, not the family, just the man.
Exactly. And so, and it's interesting too. Episode 2 started right off with, sorry.
Episode 1 first. Slow down there. I know. I'm like, if we feel this pumped up episode 1 and 2, I can only imagine what episode 3. We've already watched these, like I said. We've only watched season 1 all the way through. And then now this last season 20, but we didn't pay attention to it as much as we did tonight, where we were trying to catch, don't you think, body language and snarkiness and
the little slivers that they were given to each other.
Or the side eyes, you wench. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know that they really did that to each other too much. Here, slide in a little closer to me, hon.
Well, you want me by the mic or?
Yeah, we're going to pull your microphone over here. There we go. I feel like there's always, I hate it when there's a space between us. There's no space between us. So
it's Robin energy between us. Dang it.
Gosh, get rid of that shit. Okay, so in episode 1, and hopefully we don't miss, we're going to definitely miss things. We're going to pick up things that we felt like were a little bit more important that we wanted to explain a little bit more. And I'm sure the audience who doesn't know anything about polygamy is going to pick up totally different things than what we did. But one of the first things I thought was kind of funny was when they're talking about being the stupid humor is so stupid. And it's they think that they're so clever. It's she's a sister from a mister and a brother from another mother. It's oh my God, I've heard that so many times in my entire life. And now you think you've coined the phrase on national television. It's so stupid. Or then pliglets or plig food. My kids would always say to me, Mom, we love it when you make your plig food. And I was like, what the heck is plig food? They're casseroles, stuff like that. I'm like, that's just food. But we would talk about it all the time. And I got called a pliglet all the time. Did you? You guys didn't?
No,
not in Montana?
Really. We weren't calling each other.
Oh, well,
we didn't associate with anybody from the outside. So we associated with everybody and nobody was
calling each other. So I just thought that was funny, but you do know what plig food is. You cook a lot of really good plig food.
Huge meals. They had to do the huge meals, so it was huge casseroles or huge pots of soup, or a lot of the meals that I cook now are from my childhood that I liked.
You never cooked individual things because that was just way too hard. And so, if you made, you guys used to do pigs in a blanket a lot.
Yeah.
And so that would be considered individual foods because you can't just throw it in a big pot and then serve it. Or grilled cheese sandwiches or stuff like that. They would be considered individual foods where can you imagine making 40 grilled cheese sandwiches for every other meal?
Well, and it was different the way we grew up. We had a main kitchen upstairs. That's where all the meals were cooked. the kitchen downstairs was basically set up for canning and putting away food.
Okay.
Where the kitchen upstairs was the main industrial kitchen. And so each wife, there were like 4 wives or 5 wives, that each one of them would take a cook week where they would just cook all the food, and another wife and her kids would clean up the meals. So
I thought that was kind of interesting in this show, that it seems like Christine does the majority of the cooking, and then they try to do like family nights where they all eat together several nights a week, which, I mean, I felt like our family we didn't live together, but I felt like our family tried to get together ever so often to have meals together, and family prayer together, stuff like that.
Yeah, ours was every night. And it was weird watching them do the family prayers. I remember growing up doing that. Obviously, if I can't remember how to end a prayer, I haven't done it for many, many years. But yeah, all of the kids were called in at night to do a family prayer before everybody went to bed. So yeah, that was
what did you have?
Oh, just it was just interesting listening to the conversations. They use all the comedy about plagues. They
it's
also
so hard to listen
the
to.
Swearing. Oh, I remember this. Gosh darn it! Is it? Yeah.
Together.
Those were the swear words, I guess, that was used when guests were in the house to be funny. So
like, look, we're edgy. We're talking on the edge. We're saying darn it and gosh. And my mom used to say, it's funny, my mom would swear a little bit. So would and I'd be like, and she's like, Melanie, it's no different than if you were just going to say the word, just say the word. But my mom would say, I don't ever swear anything that's not in the Bible. And so she thought that anything that was in the Bible was fine to say. But I just think it's funny. Go ahead.
And my dad's first wife, she was in the military. So she never used gosh darn it.
It is.
So we had a couple wives that never used those kinds of words, but the righteous ones did, or the ones that were trying to follow, or they didn't swear at all. So.
Yeah, so some of that bantering going on between some of the wives, I just thought was funny. When they get all their kids together and they're talking about how they want their children to marry for love and not because, and heaven forbid, they were ever assigned a marriage. And the AUB does not assign marriages. Typically, I have seen a few assigned or arranged marriages.
Anymore, we hope.
So, anymore. Yeah. There has been, when I got married 8 days into 17, I wasn't forced to get married, but I was highly encouraged. I didn't think that I had the option to say no. And so you think that you have a choice. And I mean, if you are ballsy enough, then you do have a choice and you can say, I'm not doing that one. But if you were like me and you were a people pleaser and just wanted to make my parents happy, then I did what I was told. And so in the AUB, that's mostly how it was. I feel like back in the day, there was more arranged marriages, but that's one of the biggest reasons the FLDS split from the AUB was because of arranged marriages to underage girls.
Well, they were getting so much negative publicity. And when the prophet, who I'm assuming who was alive during the filmings of this first one, didn't want to.
I don't know if he was.
2010?
Yeah, I don't think it was Owen Allred was the prophet.
Oh, he wasn't?
That's a good thing to Google.
Yeah, we need to figure that out. It's interesting because up until like 1986, 1988, the world prophecy within the AUB, I would say, and I don't know if it went everybody, but prophecy was that the world was supposed to end by 88. And when that prophecy didn't quite work out and the world didn't end, then they were like, let's change some of the things that we're doing. We've got a whole new generation of kids coming up.
Yeah.
So let's send them to school. Let's get them college degrees. Let's train lawyers and doctors, and so that we don't have to go to the Gentile world to get stuff. Graduated in 89 after the world didn't come to an end, but I wasn't encouraged. I was encouraged to go out and
2005. Yeah, he was
a work. Oh, he was passed by then.
Lemoyne Jensen was the prophet at the time. That's what I thought.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to do a quick Google search because we want to make sure that
interesting. Yeah, so basically when the world didn't end, a lot more of the teachings of, hey, let's get these young kids out into college, and let's be more like the mainstream Mormons, where we're not marrying these underage brides and doing stuff that is iffy. We'll let the FLDS do that. And all these other splinter. We're going to be more of and so then I feel like this family comes on the scene to show that they're more open, they're more free thinkers. Their kids are going to have a choice. They need to go to school. This was all, I feel like, new teachings, because when I was growing up in it, it was that scare tactic that the world was going to end. There's no reason to go to advanced schools and stuff like that. You were supposed to learn how to live off the land, and a lot of us were learning farming and all sorts of things to maintain the community and have it running that way. There were some midwives that were living up there, but not really doctors if you had to go down to the valley to get doctors and such. So
one thing I was really surprised about was the dress of the girls. They were not, I wouldn't say that they were immodestly dressed, but they were not dressed as modestly as I remember having to be.
They were trying to look trendy for the new show.
And that I was really surprised by that, because I didn't expect I kind of expected them all to have more of the polygamous look, if you will, and not necessarily Corey always calls it prairie garb. And so not necessarily the prairie garb. I didn't expect that, but I didn't expect some of the shorter sleeves or the lower necklines and stuff like that. But mind you, they were not dressed immodestly at all. They were just not dressed what I thought AUB kids would be. And Owen died in 2005, and the prophet after him, I was not around when he became the prophet, but some of my understanding is he was a lot more of a dictator. He required a lot more and was a lot more strict with people. So that kind of surprises me to see the girls. And with Mary's mom being the leader of the school, the private school, that surprises me, because my mom was actually asked to leave the private school with her kids. You need to take your kids out of the school because they're too worldly for the school. Nice. And so I was really surprised to see these girls dressed as worldly as they were. Again, they were not immodest. They were just dressed a lot more worldly than I would have suspected.
They're just not in those really nice JCPenney dresses.
Stop it. That was a really nice dress. It cost me a lot of money. Yeah, he's like, go wear your polygamous dress, babe. And I'm like, I bought that dress at JCPenney's. That was like $80. That was a lot of money back then. And he's always making fun of that being my polygamous dress. I'm like, that was the least polygamous dress I owned. Everything else was homemade.
I know, but it's the only polygamous dress she still has.
Do I still? I don't think I still have it.
I don't know if you have it anymore.
I might. I still have a little bit of a stiff neck. We probably should have switched sides, but it's okay. Okay, so another thing that I noticed is when they talk about sexual relations and they're all sitting on the couch. And I won't lie, it feels really cringy to me when Mary's like, we don't go weird. Like, Mary, that feels really judgmental to other people who might go weird. I don't know, but it felt a little awkward. What?
They're just talking to the Gentiles, I felt like. They were explaining that they didn't go where to those people within the AUB or other groups. That is a no, and you don't. That is against.
Oh, yeah. There's like no sharing of any intimate space like that whatsoever. Yeah. I mean, the rules and guidelines that I was always taught are very strict in and of itself with just the husband and the wife, and let alone having anyone else. Yeah. So you're wearing your garments while you're being intimate. And you can tell that all the girls have garments on. You can see by their clothes. Now, I have assumed for a long time that, and we'll get into this a little bit farther, that Robin, I think her and Cody were married by the end of episode 2, because her attire changes completely and you can see it change. But I could see they definitely also had their garments on.
She's wearing Gentile clothes.
Yeah, she's wearing short sleeves, but yeah, we'll get to that too. Okay, and then Mary being the bait. So I missed that the first time around. We had to rewind it and watch it again. I thought that was interesting. I think that it's, in my opinion, has been a little bit misconstrued in the public eye, because Cody says it right at the beginning of the show, episode 1. Where he's like, I was going to marry Mary. She was the bait that got me. She was the bait that got him into the AUB. not she was the bait that was going to bring in the other wives. Go ahead.
I think it has a double meaning too. It could be the bait that brings in the other wives, just because she was raised up in the community knowing that she would have to go out, was supposed to go out and search for wives that were compatible
Right.
with her,
That she could bring into the family.
and so hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. We need a righteous family. And because if they have a family, especially a family of 3 wives, children, they're living it right in the same house like they are doing, he was probably getting some good moving up into the AUB leadership.
Right.
And
right.
so,
well, and it's just such a patriarchal system, and the misogyny is so gross, and you don't realize how severe it is until you're out of it. And so you think these little jokes are funny, but they're actually not. And so when you're considered, I was told 10 cow wife your whole life, or bait. And so there's certain little trigger phrases that we heard our whole lives that we didn't really think anything of because it's such a misogynistic culture.
Well, and to be honest too, yes, they have to be married to a man. The man holds the priesthood. But as that man moves up through his priesthood and ranks higher and higher in society, so do those wives. They become queens and priestesses. They get called to be Relief Society
primary
They're the ones. There's an awe about them that these women are living together within a home in harmony together. On the outside, it looks really pretty. And so the other women within the AUB are looking up to, how are you guys doing that? If they're looking for advice, or if they tried with a monogamous family and failed, they want to go into a family that looks beautiful from the outside.
Right. And so Robin wasn't stupid. She was definitely marrying up, and she knew it. One thing that really struck me odd, that really kind of frustrated me through the whole episode is, that's episode 2, I guess. Sorry. Well, I'm jumping because we just got done watching episode 2, so I'm jumping ahead, but let's keep on this one. Another thing, I'm going to mention this right now because I didn't note this until the end of the episode, but it is so prevalent throughout all of the 2 episodes we've watched so far, is the stupid, insecure laughing. And I'm sorry to say stupid about that, but the insecure laughing that these women do, they're so insecure and they're snarky with each other. And so what they do is Cody will tell a joke and it's like, ha ha ha. They all do this stupid fake laugh. I did it too. I actually have a home video of me and my ex-husband on a date with another woman. Well, I wouldn't call her a woman. She was a child. Let's be real. And we were on a date with her, and I'm in the background doing that laugh.
So that her husband see how funny he is.
Look how he's so righteous. He's so, like, what's the word? I don't want to say presidential, but it's like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, he's so spiritual and gifted, and all of these, it's like that courtesy laugh that you give somebody that you just want to tell them to go off.
And she does that part to me. So I tell good jokes. I've got video after video after. I do.
Yeah, well, not all the time, but sometimes
you don't give me that laugh. So
and so we recently got our videos home videos digitalized, and I came across this video and I was mortified. I was so embarrassed because I sat there and listened to myself do this fake laugh. So you can hear these wives do this all the way through the entire episode. And it's just sad because they're, look how funny he is. Oh, this man is so awesome. Led by the Spirit. It is so, oh my God. But then they do it with each other too. And this is how the lack of communication and the lack of honest communication is so prevalent in this group. Because what they do is they do the little laugh. Oh, gosh darn it. You're such a bitch. But then they don't really say the B word. What they do is they throw a snarky comment in there that's a little bit of truth with the snark or with the giggle or with the laugh. And then it's like, oh, I'm just kidding. Don't you know that? I'm just kidding. And sarcasm is literally one of the worst forms of communication, because I know, but we're very honest too. Yeah. Our whole life is not built around sarcasm. We are not. Sarcasm is a way to avoid having real, true emotional contact and emotional connection and honest communication. You see the sarcasm throughout the entire episode, and it's hard to stomach sometimes. It's hard to watch.
Sarcasm so that we don't cringe about the way we grew up too. So
yeah. So, do you
yeah.
have any notes? I'm just reading off mine.
No. Yeah. My next one kicks off on season 2, so I was waiting for you to start episode 2.
Oh, well, I'm halfway through my page of season 1, so here we go. Okay, one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is if you notice the bookshelves in the house are hilarious to me, because when we started dating, that was one of the biggest complaints that he had. I had the same bookshelves and I had all of the same books. Yeah. And so there's different standard sets of books that people will put in their
you're encouraged to get and read and study on how to live polygamy properly.
And a lot of them are illustrated books for children, and they're very hard to get. The Mormon Church does not print them anymore, but a lot of times what will happen, and I think AUB has moved away from that a little bit more. Hey, the AUB has moved away from it a little bit more. But I think what would happen back in the day would they would print out these books, which they believed were truths. And now the Mormon Church has swayed so far away from the truth that now they no longer use a lot of the illustrated books that the Mormons have.
In fact, some of the books are named Truth.
At the Truth magazines, yes. Yeah. So that's one of the things I noticed is they have all the proper pictures on the walls. They have all the proper books. I still do have all my books, yes. And my bookshelves have been banned to the basement, in the back of the basement, because this guy over here thinks that we're not teaching our grandchildren all this stuff for some reason. So we no longer have those books upstairs. But when we started dating, when we actually got married, one of the first things he's like, "Can I change this about you? I really don't like your bookshelves and I don't like your books." What?
Well, I just thought that Mother Goose was probably the better fairy tales to be teaching him.
Not the religious doctrine.
Yeah, fairy tales versus fairy tales. So
yeah. Okay, so next part of that we noticed is Logan.
Less damaging.
Less emotionally traumatizing. No religious trauma for our children.
If our kids want some trauma, then we'll read them the grim books. So.
Oh gosh.
So.
Gosh. Okay, we can pause here for a minute. Amber, you can come back in. We can pause. No, we're recording. We're not live.
Jeez.
Yeah. Sure, you don't want to be in a picture?
I do.
You want
to? This is amazing.
Here, look. Let's do it for reals. I'll post it.
Moss is here too.
Oh, he is?
Yeah. Jeez.
Okay, so the next thing we noticed on episode 1 is Logan, his unbelievable level of responsibility. Yep. And that is one of the really hard things in this society, is so many of us kids that are the oldest, we end up taking the bulk of the responsibility. And it's not even just, there's so much that comes along with that too, that even as older people, older siblings, there's a lot of resentment that comes towards me because I was the oldest and I treated the kids more like they were my own children. Then
the younger kids.
Right. The younger kids, like they were my children, and they had a lot of resentment because I disciplined them. But in my family, if one of the younger kids did something wrong on my watch, I got beat for it, and they got beat for it, but I did too because it was on my watch. So yes, I was a lot more strict of an older sister because I didn't want to get beat because my siblings did something wrong and it was on my watch. And so yeah, I think that it's awesome for Logan to have that training, he's going to make a fantastic dad. I'm sure he's going to make a fantastic husband for that, but that's too much responsibility for a 16-year-old boy to have. So
you were part of the family. You were helping run. The moms were working or doing something else. You were required to.
Everyone.
We had chores. We had chores that we had to have done. If we didn't get our chores done, the family would suffer.
Well, and I think there's a difference between having chores and helping out as part of your responsibility for being in that family, mm-hmm. and then you're doing a parent's responsibility. Those are two totally different things. Yeah. And unfortunately, in polygamy, all too often the children are doing the parent's responsibility. And so what?
We had a lot more wives that were around. It was never that we always had a cook week and stuff like that. So there was always a parent to discipline, which was nice. But
see, we were
required to be especially as a young adult, he's out doing the yard work and cutting down trees or taking care of feeding the animals or taking care of fences, putting up walls. We were doing it all. So
Right. Well, and
So-
I definitely think that it's wise for children to have their role
Mhm.
in family responsibilities. But being the oldest of 11 children, I felt like all too often my role was my mom's role or my dad's role. And
Mhm.
that got dumped onto me being the oldest. And that was really hard. So I had a lot of empathy for Logan in that. But I don't know if he was just doing it with a smile on his face and being really a good big brother and packing Savannah around because cameras were there. Or if you, I feel like that's
No,
probably
that-
genuinely in his nature and how
Yeah.
he genuinely is. But yeah, that's too much for a 16-year-old boy to have. And I know that back in the day, you know, we didn't have the luxuries that we have today. We didn't
Mhm.
have the luxuries of, you know, all the kids had to work. There was no, almost like no parent child defined role. And
Mhm.
so our societal norms these days make it a lot easier for kids to have like just more carefree lives than they did back then.
They can be children.
Yeah, but whereas
They
Plig
can
Kids,
grow up
we
as
did
children,
not have
yeah.
the carefree life. We didn't. We had to work hard. We had to be responsible. We had to help out. We had to do the things because there's just too many of us. One thing that I kind of forgot to say about, I had made a note on here about Christine and the wall decor. If a lot of people have made comments about Robin and her dried flowers, well, they were dried flowers all over. Christine had them hanging up on her wall. It was just kind of a thing that we always did. Because you didn't get flowers very often, those are luxury items. Those are not things to spend hard-earned money on. And so you didn't get them very often. And when you did get them, you saved them. And
They were medals for being a good wife.
a little trophy for, look, I was a good wife. You got me some flowers.
That was the interesting part too. Was that in episode 1 where
Yeah.
she said the trophy wife?
No, I think
was genius.
No, that's episode 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's one thing I did wanted to point out is just the hardworking.
Mhm.
And then let's see. Oh, I do have it right here again because I wrote it down like 5 times about the wives laughing at Cody's jokes. Like it's just so
He's so funny. You want to marry him. He's hilarious like this all the time. My goodness. They're trying to prop him up, which is fine. He's trying to prop himself up to get a younger wife. But it is that, look at, we're this carefree, happy, jovial family. You should join. Well,
it's like a double-edged sword.
it is.
Because you're supposed to want more sister wives because it builds your man
Mhm.
up to be, he's like this, you know, up here in this high ranking in the church. And yet you don't want more sister wives because if you're really being honest, do you really want more sister wives?
Yeah.
No, you really don't. And you're going to go with whatever you're told to go with. But it's like this balancing act of, yeah, he's a great guy. Look at him. He's got all of these things. And then please don't join our family. We don't want any more.
Well, and they used the term balance. They were talking a lot about balancing time, balancing energy, not only for the kids. And he was working on creating this balance with the 3 original wives. And so,
yeah,
all the rest of my stuff is in episode 2.
That's okay. We'll go through mine. I made a whole page. So Christine, I just felt like she said so many things in here that if she would have had any clue back then, she would have kicked Robin to the curb day one.
Well, she sensed it.
Well, and you do.
Most of the wives sensed it.
You do sense it. I sensed it when I sensed it when new mothers were coming in. I could sense, oh, she's going to be a pain. She's going to be controlling. She's going to be
she was seeing the red flags. There
Right.
were so many red flags that were.
Well, it's just funny because especially being a girl in this society, you know, and I've done a couple videos on this and Corey mentioned the trophy wife. I've done a couple videos on the different personality types of wives. And so when you're trained as a young girl and it's not spoken out loud, oh, you want to be the trophy wife. Oh, you want to be the basement wife. Oh, you want to be the, you know, the career wife. Oh, you want to be the favorite wife. That's not spoken, but it is
something you're
taught.
Working for.
Yeah.
It's something you're working for to maneuver your way up to be that trophy wife, that wife that he will take out and introduce to
in public.
Yeah. New converts, takes you to church. You're very social. So
Yep. So I think it's interesting. So Christine had said that when women come into a family and they just want the man and they don't want the family, that's what tears families apart. Well, knowing what we know now, that, I mean, how prophetic of her that she would say that. And now Robin claimed that she wanted the family, but in episode 2, then Christine does say that too, that they need to realize that this man is who he is because of his family, because of his wives. He's molded himself into being the kind of man that other women desire in polygamy because of his wives and his families and his responsibilities. He's not just some, fly by night guy who's coming in and knocking up a bunch of women, having a bunch of babies, and then leaving. They create these men to be responsible, most of the time caring men, not all the time. But most of the time these men do strive to try to be better, but you get that one wife in there and she just destroys everything. And we've clearly seen that. What are you saying? And so
Cody.
Try not to talk over him.
Sorry. I kind of lost my train of thought, so I'll come up with it again.
I know everyone gets mad at me because I talk over the top of Corey, but then he never finishes the sentence. And so then I'm like, dead airspace. It makes me nervous.
I know exactly what I was going to say. Yes, knowing what we know now, Robin, but people who did know Robin back in the day weren't inviting her into the family. Cody just took a measly 4 months to get to know them on best behaviors. And he makes a statement later on about Christine's got to bash him. Well, the only reason he knows that Christina's got to bash him so that another man will look at her is because I guarantee she bashed.
Because she couldn't leave a good man.
Yeah, she bashed another guy so that she could come into his family honorably.
Robin bashed Preston so that she could come into the Brown family honorably. Yeah. So yeah. So one of the things that I noticed too, then they get to the whole episode of first I'll start this before we get into the kids. The whole awkwardness, and I know that they're being filmed. So that's why I'm trying to have a lot of grace for them, because I know that they're being filmed and it is uncomfortable to talk about these things when you're living in them. Like I said, I have digital home video of me doing the exact same thing, feeling very uncomfortable because I'm being on video while my husband is on a date with another woman, so a child. And so I want to give them some grace for that, but just the awkwardness, and you can just feel it, like the awkwardness between the wives and the awkwardness between Cody. And then you can see, now we're getting to the part where they get all the kids together and they're going to make the big announcement. Oh my God, I remember having these announcements. Do you remember? Did you guys ever have these announcements?
I think when, they did. I was probably 12 when they brought in the 8th wife, and probably about 14 when they brought in this 9th wife. And so, there was a big announcement. It was the go over to the park and play with
the
kids and get to know them and stuff like that. And then, hey, we're doing a big announcement. We've made a decision. There was some interesting, best part about episode 1, Robin was in the last 5 minutes of it. The rest was So episode 1 was not so bad at all.
Yeah, so I remember those announcements. I was 14. I mean, I was 5 when my dad got his 3rd wife. Well, she was technically his 4th wife. But then I was 14 when my dad got his 5th wife. And I remember that. I remember my dad coming up behind me, putting his arm around my waist. How would you feel if I got another wife? I mean, and so what I felt, I had a lot of emotion come up when I saw this scene, because they're asking leading questions. They're leading their kids to giving the answer that they want them to give. Because my dad was like, isn't she beautiful? Well, yeah, she is. Don't you like her kids? Well, yeah, I do. And of course I want my dad's favor. I want everyone wants their father's favor. And so of course I'm going to, my mom's standing there cooking and I'm standing next to her, helping her make some food. And my dad comes up and puts his arm around me and he's like, what do you think, sweetheart, if I made part of our family? And I was like, that would be wonderful, Dad. Of course I'm going to say that. I'm not going to try to piss my dad off in the middle of, why he's all love struck.
And you as kids, I didn't know. I didn't know those wives. We hung around with their kids a little bit, but I didn't know what
Right.
they were going to be like. I mean,
we barely knew her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the problem with AEB too, is that the courtships are so short.
So
And what's
quick.
funny to me is that Cody says on here a couple times. Now, I know we're not quite to this episode, and I'm sure it'll clear it up. But he's like, "Oh, our courtship had to go so long. We've been courting for 4 months." What the?
In the AUB, that's a long courtship. Yeah.
I know, but still, how can you truly get to know somebody if it's only been 4 months and you're seeing them every other weekend and you're driving 5 hours to go see them? And so that was another part that was really hard for me to watch, was for him at the last 5 minutes of the show to be like, "Yeah, I'm driving 5 hours to go see her." So she didn't, like, it's pretty typical. That's a pretty typical drive for people in Utah. We live in the Salt Lake Valley. She lived in St. George. A lot of people have 2 homes. They have one in Salt Lake. They have one in St. George. It's not that uncommon of a drive. It's fairly common, but yeah, that is very uncomfortable. And especially when you're leaving a pregnant wife at home who is trying to figure out her, she's emotional. So that was one of the reasons why we never got a second wife, my ex-husband and I, is because I got pregnant and he was courting her. And then I got pregnant. And then I went, I don't want to do this while I'm pregnant. I don't know how Christine did this and kept her shit together. I really don't. I have no idea how she made that happen. She is a way stronger person than I would ever be. I would not be that nice. And in polygamy, a lot of people don't understand this too, but during the marriage process, the last wife, or the newest wife to get married, is the one who gives the new wife to the husband. So they're the ones at the sealing ceremony, over the altar. They're the one that takes. So Christine had to take Robin's hand, put it in Cody's hand, and give Robin to Cody as a gift, as the law of Sarah, to fulfill her responsibility in the law of Sarah. How do you do that when you are 9 months pregnant and you are, I'm not saying Christine was huge, but she was big. She was puffy. Her face was swollen. Her fingers are swollen. She's going through all those pregnancy changes physically, hormonally, emotionally. And this young little hot twat wife's got to come in here and try to steal her husband. And that's what it would feel like to me. And so when I didn't want to go through that process when I was pregnant. So I said, please, let's not do this until after the pregnancy is over. So that's kind of where some of I get frustrated watching it, because how inconsiderate. You waited 16 years, dude. You couldn't wait another 1 year just for Christine to get out of that transition of that baby. I just think it's...
No, she couldn't, because they state right in there that she had so many other choices within the AUB.
Oh my God. That's disgusting. So, and that's on it. We both wrote that down on episode 2.
Yeah. She had many choices.
Yeah.
They're choosing us.
Well, one of the things too I noticed is their family prayer. That is how we would all pray. We were taught that you pray facing the closest LDS temple or the Salt Lake temple. And so the Salt Lake temple was the one we were always taught to face. And so the whole family would kneel down together. And then typically the dad or one of the wives would say a family prayer at night, and we would pray together to say at the end of the evening. We didn't always do morning prayers because it was just too chaotic, but nighttime prayers was a must. Every single night we would do those.
The other thing that I wanted to point out in this episode 1 was they're talking about they homeschooled their children and then they sent them to the AUB school.
Private school.
So I think you got chastised maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it was chastised. I just got corrected.
But that's what they say in episode 1, is that they sent them to the private. And so we were also sent to the private school, kindergarten through 8th grade. And then at that point, then the families had a choice whether to send them to the Pines High which I went to, or go down to Corvallis, which was a private school. Or a public school.
Yeah. So, or you guys got homeschooled, right?
Yeah, we got homeschooled.
Did packets and stuff.
Yeah. We went through a high school. They had teachers up there that taught us high school and stuff like that. So yeah. But most of it was packets so that you could get your equivalent of so I've got a GED and a little plaque that says I passed my packet system.
Sunshine Studies.
So
question though, did your whole family pray together at night, every night? And that was a must. And it was like, I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if you're in bed dying. then you come in the living room. If you can't kneel, then you lay down on the couch. That's how it felt for us too. And so I thought that was interesting, but I really did struggle with the scene where he's telling Robin could have her pick up anybody and she's choosing us. Really? That's how you sell this to your kids. And it's like, if you're not excited, what's wrong with you? And you see some of the kids pull off this like, well, do we really need to add 4 more people to our family? And so what?
Well, and they've done the work of 16 years of getting to know each other, of working together as a family. If she can come in and be the young top wife, that's a benefit.
Yeah.
That's an absolute benefit to her. And there was finances being lined up. There was a show being done.
Yeah.
Again, I'm no prophet. Probably need to talk to somebody else, but I think she knew that the works were going on in there. She was in episode 1, the end of it, thank goodness, but she was in episode.
But that's what I think is really hard about this, is just the whole leading your children to believing that they have a choice or believing that they have an opinion that actually matters. And it doesn't. You're giving them their opinion, even though you don't that's what I don't think that the parents or the adults had ill intent. They just want their family to be happy. They want their family to be cohesive. They want everybody to agree on everything. You have 17 people in your family. Nobody's going to agree on everything all the time. But bringing in a new woman and 3 extra kids sounds wonderful. And so I thought it was really over the top the way some of the kids responded to that. Some of the older kids. Well, yes, let's do it.
Well, they're teaching. Those are the teachings. That's 18 years or 17, 16 years
of indoctrination.
Being taught that this is what your family needs to be doing. We as a family are going to move forward into the afterlife as a whole family. And we need to be righteous. And if dad thinks this is I want to impress mom and
absolutely.
dad.
Absolutely.
I want to live righteously. You're constantly trying to, as children also, trying to gain favor with your parents so that you don't blend in. Right. I feel like a lot of times. So.
Well, and it's just uncomfortable too, because, Madison says to Cody, are you engaged yet? And he gets all sheepish. Oh, no, not yet. Awkward little stupid smirk. And I mean, when you're the wife and you're sitting there watching your husband do these stupid little smirks, that's the hardest. I still have some unresolved trauma. If you can't tell, I need to work on it. I already know. But it is really hard because you're watching this happen and you're like, what the? You don't get to experience that again. You don't know what's happening again. I mean, and Mary has like the most expressive body language ever. And in this whole episode, everything Mary does is so expressive. It's crazy. So we're at the end of what?
Kind of a nervous twitch.
Well, she just has a scowl too that she's just like, go F off. But she's not thinking that, I'm quite sure.
No, she's working towards
She's trying to work through her feelings, but it's hard.
Family, the family. And I have a different theory too. If they can pull this off by creating a show where it shows that they're a normal family, that we fit into society, and look how well it's working, how smooth it's going. Look how perfect of a family we are. That's not only showing you, the Gentiles, what they look like from the outside, but it's also showing leadership within the AUB. Look how amazing this family is. They might need some more responsibilities. Or stewardships within the group, within the AUB.
And I guarantee you, everyone in the AUB watched the first season.
Moving him up through the ranks of the AUB, and ultimately you want to get to the top of the AUB. So, right. And run the tithing. So
and then at the end of the...
It's a good job to have.
It is. At the end of the episode, Robin, they're doing a fast forward for episode 2, and Robin's like, I love Cody. He's my soulmate.
Check. Yep.
I'm just like,
episode 1. She's already made claim
so maliciously. Like she did that because, I did a whole video on soulmates earlier, and it's like, you want to be the soulmate for your husband because that puts you above all the other women. And so she was stamping that seal right on the very first episode.
She didn't say I'm Cody's soulmate.
She said he's mine.
He's my soulmate. So she's putting it in there that before they came down to earth, that those two souls came together and made agreement that they'd find each other here on earth and live in bliss and happiness for the rest of their lives. So they're soulmates. So
Yeah. And
it's awesome.
I find it funny how Janelle dances around the fact that she was married to Adam, Mary's older brother. And then Robin dances around the fact that she, had an ex-husband too in this first episode, or I guess the beginning of the second episode. And so we're at the second episode now. And yeah, Robin's clearly in short sleeves. She's not wearing her garments. I've said this for a long time that I think that she and Cody got married way before their reception. I think they're married by the end of episode 2 or the beginning of episode 3, but we're not there yet. So we'll get there and then we'll let you know. But she's definitely not wearing garments. So she's definitely not married. But you can see the garments I can see the garments in the other girls, what they're wearing. That's why you're always going to get these awkward looks. You're going to get like the t-shirts and then the long sleeve underneath, or the spaghetti strapped shirts with the long shirts underneath, just to kind of keep them covered. Now you can have a lower neckline because they're tied at the top, and you can loosen the ties just a little bit so that the neckline comes open a little bit more. Yeah, something Corey's not familiar with at all, but that you can do that. So a lot of people say, oh, there's no way she has garments on. It doesn't come all the way up. You can if it's got that, but it's just more the long sleeves. And then you can see the bulkiness of them underneath. But then Christine starts out being very prophetic again in episode 2, where she's like, it feels like Cody's replacing his family with Robin and her kids.
I wrote that down too. Make sure you're not replacing your family with Robin and her children.
And that's what she's telling Cody, because she's really struggling. I was really struggling with the fact that they acted like Robin was doing them a favor by choosing their family. I bet you don't think that now, do you?
Episode 2 starts and Robin starts right out with her tagline. So
what'd she say?
I'm trying to create a safe space for my children.
Oh yeah,
Safety. My last marriage was unsafe. Some of the people I've been cruising or dating within the AUB are unsafe. I'm looking for a safe place for my family.
And I guarantee she looked around and she probably dated quite a few other married men before she settled on Cody. And everyone's like, she could have her choice of anybody. She's so loved. Everyone wants her. And it is true. She's thin. That doesn't always happen, unfortunately. When you pop out a dozen children, you'll gain weight. I gained weight. There's just nothing, like, not a lot of women. And the problem is you're what?
She only had 3 children.
Only? Are you kidding me? That's a lot of kids. But the thing is that you don't always have time to work on your physical appearance, because why? Oh, Christine's taking care of 12 kids. She doesn't have time to go to the gym and work out every day. She doesn't have time to go get her hair done, go get her nails done, go get all of these things. There's not a lot of time for self-care. And these women, I'm not saying that these women look haggard, because they don't. They look like they try to keep themselves well, but there is a lot of weight gain because there just is not the time for self-care. And I don't mean to say that to be ignorant to any of the women. I was right there. I have done it myself, where I've had babies and gained weight, and I don't have the time or even the energy to go to the gym and try to do all the things necessary, or even the financial resources to do diet trends or fads or anything like that.
Do you feel like it's a safety thing too? If you look like them, if you've had children, the men aren't necessarily supposed to be looking across the church at you for inappropriately long time.
Yeah.
And since she had got herself into a position where, hey, I can gaze at these men because I'm looking for a righteous family to come into.
And truthfully, in one of my therapy sessions, I was talking to a therapist about why am I struggling with weight so much? And that was one of the things that came out, is it was a self-protectant, because in that religion, you don't know, men are always on the prowl all the time. And I was, because I'm not inbred and I don't have very many strong inbred genes, I did get a lot of men looking at me. And I did get a lot when I was 25. I got divorced. I was 25 with 3 little kids. I literally had men show up on my front door with their wives trying to court me and trying to date me. And it's because I was still breedable.
And it wasn't me. I didn't have any wives.
No, it was not you. I had to search you out and ask you out. You did not. You got lucky there, son.
I did.
Now, see, this is where you need to be lucky. You act like I did you a favor.
Well, what's the line that they use in there? Yeah, I could have had my choice of anyone.
I chose you.
You chose me,
so
I choose you.
Yeah, so it's so ridiculous because she would have been very sought after, and she would have played that up. Now, it's interesting to me because I'm curious as to why her and Preston got divorced. I've heard a lot of things. I've heard a lot of rumors. I don't know. I can't confirm any of those rumors, but I'm curious about it because did she want to live plural marriage and he didn't want to live plural marriage? And eventually what are you smirking at?
There's zero curiosity.
I know. I think I'm pretty sure why she got divorced. But when you go in Robin's situation with her first husband, they had premarital relations. She got pregnant. They cannot get married in the AUB at that point. What they would have to do is go through a repentance process, and then they could be married in the AUB. And then he could get a second wife, but he would have to go through that entire process. I don't know if he would need to be rebaptized, if they would make him be rebaptized or not. I think they would, but there's a process. But they were never married in the AUB, so Robin never had to get a release from him, or they were just legally married.
As soon as she got the divorce, she was free to
marry whoever she wanted. So the same rules didn't apply to her divorce from her first husband that would apply to her if she were to divorce Cody. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Or if they had been married within the AUB,
right,
then they would have had to go through the spiritual release.
Right. So I get really tired in episode 2 of hearing that Robin's doing them a favor. It's like, and a lot of the people, I wish that they would have done more episodes with the Browns before Robin came around, because they were truly one of the very best families I'd ever seen. And they had a lot of really good dynamics between them. Although you can see the snarkiness and the sarcasm and the bits of truth that it just meant, I'm just kidding. Darn it. Gosh darn it. I'm just kidding.
Well, and the interesting part is all 3 of the original wives were talking about how careful Cody was in balancing his time within the 3. And they were becoming a little bit questioning because during the 4 months, and I don't know the whole process, but during the whole 4 months, he wasn't necessarily balancing or wasn't doing a very good job. He was trying to. There were many men out there searching her out, and he was trying to win her over. He was trying to give her enough time to go, no, I need to go into this.
So he leaned heavily in her favor.
And they were bringing it up in the second episode that up until now, he's been very balanced with his time and energy, not only between the wives, but with the kids. And so then that's why I feel like that Christine came up with the, hey, don't replace your family with Robin and her kids.
Yeah.
It's hey, you have been very balanced with the 3 of us up until this point. Let's keep that balance going. And
obviously he didn't.
Yep.
So,
not when you got a soulmate on the line.
Well, and you can see it too. He's getting ready to go down for the weekend to see Robin, and he's taking Aspen and Madison, and he's saying goodbye to the wives. And Janelle, I love Janelle because she's just like here nor there. If he's here, great. If he's not, that's fine too. But then Mary's crying. She's upset that he's hugging her goodbye.
Like, I'll be fine. But
yeah, she's working through it. Mm-hmm. She's trying to work through her feelings about it. And then, same with Christine. He's trying to say goodbye to Christine. What I appreciated about that, go ahead. What I appreciated about that scene is the fact that while he was gone, it seemed, at least the way they edited it, it made it look like all the wives went into Christine's room to help her move around her furniture for the baby. Now, I was really kind of surprised by this scene. I was and I wasn't. You can tell a sister wife who really, truly lives plural marriage the way that they all say that they're supposed to. Because she has no issue whatsoever with other wives coming into her private space that is her private space and her husband's private space. It's a sacred space between her and her husband. I never went into other mothers' bedrooms because they were sacred spaces. And so you can tell that Christine genuinely doesn't have anything to hide from her sister wives. So she's allowing them into hers and Cody's sacred space to help them move furniture. And so I thought that was really telling because not a lot of sister wives will actually do that. I've known sister wives literally to, hey, can I go to the bathroom in your bathroom? And the other sister wives like, yeah, no. But then they do, like this one particular incident I heard about firsthand from the person it happened to. She goes into her sister wife's bedroom and goes through all of her closets, goes through all of her underwear drawer, goes through all of her stuff to see what kind of underwear this woman is wearing. And so this is what happens. This is where some of that nitpicking stuff can happen. But when a woman is like Christine, who's genuinely wanting to do it the way she's supposed. So here, come in my space. I have nothing to hide. No, I don't have lacy thongs that I'm wearing underneath or over my garments. Nothing like that. And so, but yeah, what are you saying? But this particular girl went through her sister wife's underwear drawers, pulled out a lacy pair of underwear and took them in front of the whole family and threw them at her sister wives and said, why are you wearing stuff like this? This is not appropriate. And then yelled at her husband for allowing his wife to wear lacy underwear.
Yeah,
and so I
their
actually
beliefs.
had a lot of appreciation for that scene with Christine because she really doesn't she's doing it with her whole heart. She truly believes what she's doing. So that's a little inside, because honestly, bedroom spaces were very sacred spaces for polygamous wives. That's where you can go and be alone with your husband and no one else can come in there. No one else can bother you. No one else, I mean, they do try to bother you, but that's supposed to be your sacred space. And a lot of times a husband and a wife will pray together in that room. They'll dedicate the room to whatever, to,
Producing children.
Yeah, to make, yeah. And so,
seed.
Right. And so I just thought that was a very interesting scene for me, because I know a lot of sister wives who absolutely will not allow other sister wives in their bedrooms for one of two reasons. Either they don't trust them, or they don't trust them to not go through their stuff, or they have something to hide and they don't want the other wives seeing what their secret, intimate parts of their marriage are like. Go ahead.
Nothing. What I was going to bring up is in this episode too, and I even had to ask Melanie because I've never dated polygamy-wise, and to be honest, I never really saw my dad dating.
Yeah, his dad just showed up at the house. Hey, here's a new wife and some siblings. So, go ahead and welcome him in.
Yeah, I've never seen a polygamous man, if you will, date. But one of the things that one of the kids asked, well, which mommy is coming with Cody this time?
Oh, Robin's kids
asked that. And that is, I mean, you said, yeah, that's the norm, that
a man is never allowed alone with a potential new wife without another wife there.
Present.
Yeah.
And so I was like, they show this one scene where he's going down for the first time. Well, I think this is the time they got engaged. And that's what she brought up. Well, this is them being engaged.
Do you want to be the wife that goes on that trip? Not me.
No, but usually then the wife is there, because if he's going overnight down there,
super inappropriate.
Then you would have a wife down there. I mean,
well, maybe they didn't stay the night there. It doesn't say that they did. I mean, they could have gotten a hotel. I mean, he had so much money. He could afford a hotel. But yeah, so then the wives, Corey's like, I will just shut my mouth. But then the wives are trying to work together. You see them, the way that the editing is, they're trying to,
just based on AUB teachings and some of the prosecutions that have happened within the AUB for inappropriate dating. This
one fits the bill. It's very inappropriate. Very.
So I've seen other men excommunicated for similar behavior.
Very, very true.
So
very true. Okay, so then the wives are all out to lunch together. And Christine, Janelle, and Mary are all out to lunch together. They're chit-chatting. And this is where I really noticed the snarkiness between all three of them. They're trying to be nice to each other. It's not that they're... The thing is they don't even probably realize that they're being snarky to each other or sarcastic with each other, because this is how we were taught to communicate. We were taught to communicate underhandedly. We were taught to communicate, I'm going to throw out an insult and then say, just kidding, that's not really how you are, but yeah, you are. And so I noticed a lot of that at the ice cream where they were getting lunch together. And then Christine's like, no, I'm happy that Cody finally gets his trophy wife.
Finally gets a trophy wife.
And Corey turns and looks at me. He's like, you even explained a trophy wife. I'm like, yeah. Because
none of the rest of you are trophy wives.
it felt really snarky to Janelle, and because Christine's the one who said it, so it felt snarky to Janelle and Mary, where they're like, well, you two clearly aren't trophy wives, so good thing Cody gets his trophy wife. And I'm like, what the hell?
I'm just like,
it felt so and I don't think Christine meant it. That's the thing. That's why people feel deceived by this family. But this is how we were taught to communicate. This is how we were raised. The underhanded compliments that you're like, did I just get complimented or I just get bitched?
Yeah.
Like, did I just get slapped?
Did she just say something sweet to me, or did it?
I can't
kind
decide.
Of stung a little bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you just don't know if it was a compliment. And if you're like, wait a minute, that seemed like it stung. Oh, that's not how I meant it.
Oh, come on. You know I was joking.
Yeah. Come on. I'm not that kind of wife that would be rude.
Yeah. And so it is. It's hard. It's hard to see it. I didn't see it when I was in it. And I was very much this way. And it took me years of getting out of it to see that and even still, I will make comments. Like my one son says to me, Mom, are you trying to put slivers in my relationship before I go get on an airplane for 4 hours with my girlfriend? And I'm like, shoot, that kind of didn't sound very nice, did it? I am so sorry. And Corey's over there laughing his butt off going, that's right, son. So
she'd have been a good polygamous wife.
We have tried to train
teaching ourselves what to eliminate.
Yeah.
Not to bring shame or slivers or guilt into our conversation when we're talking with our kids, to empower them, to empower each other.
Right.
So,
and so
to not use these snide remarks to each other.
And unfortunately, this is where so much of the insecurity comes in. They really focus and harp on having charity, working on their jealousies, and they're trying to be better people, but they don't really address insecurities. This is the primary source for insecurities with these women, is these underhanded compliments or underhanded sarcastic remarks that leaves a person questioning, what? Wait, what did you just say to me? I'm not a trophy wife? What? And so that's what I'm saying. I really don't feel that they are purposely trying to deceive.
And this lifestyle, Robin stated it in one of her conversations to the camera, but this lifestyle knocks off those rough edges or those thorns. And Cody is such a better man that she's marrying than when he married Robin or Mary. All of those rough edges are.
And I just want to thank those women.
I want to thank those women for knocking off those rough edges, because now I've got this righteous man who is going to get us all to heaven. And we're going to have this big, wonderful, perfect family. And
it is a little late here while we were recording this. We watched the 2 episodes and Corey's like, do you want to record it tonight? Hell yeah, I do. Right when we're talking about it, because now I feel like totally motivated to talk about it. One of the things I felt I was really disgusted by in this episode is Christine not meeting Robin and not knowing who she was.
Yeah, 4 months of him
that is ridiculous.
Dating. She gets to meet him and give her
before
an opinion.
He ever courts her at all.
Yeah, then they all should have met and given an opinion. Yes, I'm okay with this moving forward.
That is
so
wrong.
You see a lot of, if you will, red flags again on the way that you're taught growing up in AUB, in the polygamous group, taught what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, and how it actually works out. So.
And how it actually happens. And unfortunately, I mean, when she said she's crying on the couch, I mean, God, my heart really just went out to Christine, because here she is pregnant and she's crying on the couch saying, I feel like I just lost my best friend, to somebody she doesn't even know. She's never even met. In my opinion, that is absolutely wrong. She should have met Robin and been introduced to Robin before Cody ever went on one single courtship with Robin, ever.
Or maybe she should have met Robin at least a third courtship, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you had 4 months to meet this girl. Why did you not know her?
I love that they left out the whole church scene, but
the lightning bolt in the church.
Yeah, they were at the dance, and Mary started communicating with her, and so that's, for this narrative, that's when they kind of first met, and Mary was working to bring her in, which makes her, again, they keep using the bait word.
Which I hate that. That
Yeah.
is so
Where she's
trashy.
the bait that goes out there and talks to the other wife and says, hey, we've got an amazing family. You should think about coming into this. I think we could be good friends. And Mary probably did work, even though there's some jealousy, work to create that.
Yeah.
Because if she can create, as a first wife, create this big, beautiful family that's going to get them all to heaven, that gets her some points, I guess, with Cody, to please Cody, to get him up there. Hey, I went and helped you find the fourth wife and your trophy wife, and she could have anybody, but because I was the bait dangled out in front, I don't know.
Yeah. And
It's
honestly,
sick.
I think the whole bait thing feels trashy to me. It feels really like disrespectful to Mary. I don't like it. I don't think it's a funny joke. I try to make light of a lot of things, but that I just feel like we're already in such a society where women have little or no value that you're going to value her as bait. It just pisses me off. What?
Yeah, and I'm just curious. I'd love to have an interview with, or love to have somebody ask them about that.
Why that was funny.
Not only why she was considered, she was the bait that brought me in. She's also the bait that goes out and gets another wife. But why was Christine set aside for 4 months before of him dating and
it's
her
so
getting
wrong.
to know before she meets all of the wives? Make sure that all of the wives have a connection with her.
Absolutely. So. Yep. And then as they're doing the couch interview, Christine's crying. She's like, I feel like I lost my best friend. And then she's sitting in her and Cody are talking, and Cody gets emotional too on the couch scene. And he's saying, yeah, we were in Christine's room. And he's like, tell me what to do to, I feel like I've broken and shattered. I don't know what to do. And Mary's body language is so you can tell, because he's having this moment with Christine. She's crying. He's crying on the couch interview. And he's saying, yeah, in our intimate space of our bedroom, we had this very intimate discussion. And you see Janelle looking over at him like, oh, that's so sweet of you to love her like that. And then you see Mary going and looking down. Mary has the most expressive body language out of all of the wives. And she does not hide her facial expressions very well. And she is just over there angry about it. So she's upset about Robin. Because obviously she's going to be jealous. She's going to have these issues. So she's already got all of this going on. And then she's watching her husband comfort the other wives. Now she's got all of that she's got to deal with too. So there's layer upon layer upon layer of just plain messed up emotions. How do you get through all that?
So I have a question for you, because I didn't date second wives or anything like that. I saw from a childhood point of view some of the stuff, but would he be heartbroken and crying to, let's say, the third wife because the potential new wife was maybe dating other people within the AUB at the same time? I've seen it happen before.
Yeah, I think so. Our potential, my ex-husband and my potential, was dating quite a few other men at the same time. And that was really hard to chew.
It's heartbreaking to those poor men.
He was heartbroken. And I was just like, what are we doing? This is ridiculous. And so I was 18, she was 16, he was 26.
You just see some things later on where he's talking to his son-in-law and says that the dad said, stay away from her. It's not going to work. Probably because she was dating other potential men within the AUB at the same time. And he was trying to win that over, and he was heartbroken. He was lovesick. And she had to have a third wife comfort him that it looks like you just need to get married. Another marriage is only going to fix it.
Looks like your heartbreak. The only thing that's going to fix that.
I'm not saying I was never around. I know that whole dating scene was going on. But
the thing, you're saying the things that you think that you're supposed to say. Mm-hmm. We were trained for this our whole lives. You're saying the things that you're saying the things that you're supposed to feel. Even if you don't feel them, you're trying to say them. You're trying to outwardly show the things that you wish that you felt on the inside, but that's not really how you feel. And that's what's so hard to watch these women stomach them. And we're only on episode 2, for hell's sakes. This is just going to get worse from here. I can feel it.
And I'm just assuming this stuff, just the way I've seen dating going on in the AUB, where a potential wife will be dating multiple different families to see which family she's going to fit in the right
It's
way
true.
with, who she's going to get along with, all of that stuff, and breaking these poor men's hearts over and over again.
These men have sacrificed
They
so
are
much to give her so
sacrificing
much. Why does she not appreciate that?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's some of our snarkiness.
Yeah.
But another thing on this episode, then Cody gets down there with the two girls and they're going to babysit for him while he takes Robin out on a date. And she does the whole soulmate comment again. I mean, this woman is slapping her seal on this man the first second she shows up on this scene.
Television show? Cameras?
Yeah.
Soulmate.
Oh my gosh. I was just like, what is she doing? And I remember being a little girl and watching my aunts, my older aunts, dating and, oh, he's my soulmate. Oh, he's my soulmate. And I remember thinking, soulmates are such BS, because I watched one aunt jump from 3 different soulmates before she finally got married and had the real soulmate. And so it's really hard to give that any merit or any credit. And so, but I feel like Robin did that as a way to put her seal on Cody at the very, very beginning of her appearance in the show.
And I mean, Christine chose to be into Cody. She pursued him. He already kind of admitted that. I think he had to work a little overtime and compete with some, I don't know, but a heartbroken guy is usually the sign that she's dating many
other people
within the AUB. So.
Well, I think he was saying that Christine was shattered and he didn't know how to fix Christine.
Not I have to go watch it.
Yeah,
again.
we'd have to watch that.
I got snarky as soon as I saw that.
I know. I know. Me too.
How many families was she dating?
I was like, we're going to need whiskey to finish this thing. I don't think we're going to get through this episode without some shots.
It's Wednesday. I'm seeing this other family.
It's Tuesday. Yeah. Do we?
You got to come. All right, this guy's coming down. So he really, I don't know. He might have had to work to win that soulmate over.
Well, and another thing I thought was funny is then they go to this restaurant. They're very handsy with each other, which is really surprising to me. They're very touchy with each other. The part that I really struggled with this whole thing is then he says at the dinner, then I thought it was hilarious. They ordered hot chocolate. I was like, why? Because she's half your age. And so you got to get the kid to hot chocolate with marshmallows. Yeah. Right on.
Usually when he takes his girls out, he gets them.
So I thought that part was hilarious. But then in like they're talking to the camera and he's like, yeah, we've been courting for 4 months, which is so long. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. Knowing what we know now, oh my gosh, my neck. Yeah. Knowing what we know now, he told her about his tryst in college a month after they were dating. Mm-hmm. So, and they're pretty handsy with each other. I'm watching this episode with a whole different set of lens than I did on the first episode.
In AUB standards, they are pretty handsy with each other.
Very handsy with each other.
You Gentiles are way more handsy.
They're not. Yeah. I mean, I would be pissed off if I was one of the 3 OG wives and I watched that date and I watched how handsy he was with her. And then he takes the ring off his finger. Oh, my daughter made this for me. I bet Madison wishes she hadn't done that now. And then he gives it to her and she put, oh my God, it's so wonderful. It's so great. And so I just I found that part really ridiculous, over the top. You can hear the awkward laugh. She's now trying to, oh, you're so funny. You're so amazing. And I know that it's the butterflies of first love, but it felt like really over the top for the cameras. And then he did. He like put his hand on her lower back, almost touching her butt at one point. And then, yeah, I know. That's what I said too. Watch your hands there, mister. And so then he's sitting there. I don't know. I'm looking at this going, okay, wait a minute. He's already poured his heart out to her that he had a tryst in college right here. Is this all they're doing is just having hot chocolate at a Mexican restaurant in St. George, Utah? I hardly doubt it. But I mean, that's just my opinion. Like, I really do want to believe that he did hold the AUB standards. It's just making it really hard to believe that he held the AUB standards when we know what we know now, watching the show backwards. So there's our...
But again, he's not even holding the AUB standards right there on the camera.
He's not.
So
he's absolutely not.
He's walking a fine line about appropriateness within the AUB.
Yeah.
Depending on who you are in the AUB. So
it is. It's very true. And so this episode, so there's our first 2 episodes. We thought, we'll combine 2 episodes into one podcast or one, podcast so that it doesn't go too long. Well, here we are. It's gone a little over an hour now. So hopefully maybe we'll have to break down. I think we're going to try to
episode, maybe.
Yeah. Looking forward, depending on what is included in the episode, we might do 2 episodes. We might watch 2 episodes and report 2 at once, or depending on how much content that particular episode has, we might just do 1. So look for that coming forward. And then we did a poll on YouTube. Thank you everybody who actively participated in our poll. We got a ton of votes on it, and the majority overwhelmingly voted for Sister Wives. So that's why we're going with this, but we are going to watch Big Love because that one brings me a lot of childhood stuff.
It's based after your childhood.
Where this and Sister Wives does a lot, but it's like I knew these people, I grew up with these people, so it feels a little bit different. It feels like they're more on, but Big Love, yeah, that brings back some childhood memories. So hopefully you guys find our recap and commentary on these 2 episodes enlightening, maybe funny, maybe a little snarky. But leave your comments below and let us know what you thought. Or
any questions you might have too.
If there's anything you want to make sure that we're looking for in any of the episodes, we'll be going over episode 3 and 4 next. Depending on the content of those episodes will depend on if we'll try to combine that into one video or make separate videos for them. And we're just going to be doing this while we're on the Sister Wives break for season 20. And then when season 20 comes back on, we'll pick up our regular commentary. And who knows, maybe we'll continue still doing these because we did start putting out our own podcast about our own lives. And so make sure you check those out too.
Which are way more boring.
Way more boring. No, our lives are actually stupidly, ridiculously interesting, right? But make sure in the show notes, if you want to connect with us on any other social media platforms, make sure you follow us. All of our social media is tagged in the show notes. And then also on Instagram, I've been doing some live updates on our life behind the scenes on our stories. So if you want to come and check out any, maybe get a little bit behind the scenes of what we're doing every day or a couple times a week, I'm trying to update those, then follow us on Instagram so that you can see those daily updates on our stories. But yeah, these were very interesting. We decided to jump on and make a video at 9:00 at night so that we could go ahead and go with the energy that we were feeling after. I'm like, we can't watch these shows and then not record right away. This is ridiculous. So we can't wait till tomorrow. I can't sleep on this. So let us know if you have any other comments. And thank you guys so much for joining us. And we will see you for part 3 and 4.
She filled out a page. I filled out a page.
I filled out 2 pages, baby.
Did you? She's.
See you soon.
See you guys.